Welcome to Beginner Tips and Tricks for 7 Days to Die. This will be a part 3 of the tips and tricks for 7 Days to Die Darkness Falls mod. All the tips and tricks, or at least most of them, they will be touching just about the differences between the vanilla and the Darkness Falls mod. I made a while back the part 1 and part 2, you can check the description for the links. But since then I received some of the comments for the new questions, or some people were sharing the tricks as well regarding the new functionality or different items. I was like, well, let's do another video. Let's just gather this information. Maybe someone will find something interesting in there. So let's start. As we know, the Darkness Falls has multiple items in his arsenal and a lot of new stuff. One of the new stuff which is particularly appealing to me are the new shades. So in my backpack I have 2 pairs of shades. You can see they are a little bit different, but let me have a look on it. Shades, reload speed 10%. Cool. But you can also find the special shade, the Mythixdino. I don't think that's the right spelling, but well, which gives you 75% of loot bonus, extra quest reward options, and bonus quest rewards. So whenever you find any of the shades, check what they are, because you can find those, and those are just awesome. At some point in your game, you will start to spend some points towards the farmer class, the living of the land. And what it does is on the 3rd level, it gives you 2 additional items from crops. On the 4th level, 3 additional items. And the 5th one is 3 additional items and 1 additional item from the wild plants. Okay. The game, how it works right now is when you see a plant, it says to pick it up. To get 1 tomato, you pick it up. So I pick it up, I get 1 tomato. You see in the right bottom corner. But when I have Living of the Land, the botanist, and I will punch this instead of taking it, I get 2. So the skill for farmer only works when you are punching plants, so the old way, instead of picking up the plants, which is the new way. Having that in mind is particularly useful when you are gathering at least one of the material you want from the wild, from the wilderness, because it doesn't work for the normal plants. We have the plants in here, and I cannot pick them up. I'm pressing E right now, I cannot pick them up. So it doesn't matter for the farm. But for the wild plants, it's better to punch them or hit them with a knife or whatever, instead of just picking them up, because you will be losing the items. Okay, so with 1 new item, the clay pot, you can actually collect the sap. How to do it? You need to find a tree, go quite close to it, and press the left key. You see? I pick up some sap. Ball of sap. What you can do from it is the fuel logs, which are very, very efficient. Very efficient fuel, like the name says. You can make the glue from it, or Mega Crush sterile bandages, which is the new item as well. But you can make the sterile bandages, which are quite cool, especially at the beginning of the game. Those are lifesavers. Or the sticky apple. I try it. Yeah, it's one of the items. You can check the food showcase, so I will be talking more about this. And also, if you have 15 balls and you click the left key, you will have the 15 balls of sap, so make yourself a favor and don't do it on 1 clay pot unless you don't have any more, because, you know. I will highlight this one because it took me some time to figure it out. It took me some time to actually get my head around it, and it might be useful for you knowing this, having that in mind. So as you know, Darkness Falls gives the possibility to scrap the items, and you can also craft the new items from the new materials, which you can get from scrapping the items. So for example, the class books, you have to have the skill nodes or the hazmat modes and so on. So I would just highlight few of the items I found useful, or you have to scrap them, or some of them are quite useful to get some resources. So let's go through it. The hazmat boots and hazmat any hazmat items, you can scrap them. So you can get the hazmat fiber, and the fiber is used to craft the mods. To craft the items as well, but most importantly to craft the mods. They are different a little bit. So this is the mod. You can install it on boots. Of course, you have 5 of the hazmat items. They each give 20% of protection, the same like mods. So at some point when you start to collect them, you want to actually have the mod and have the armor and use the mod instead of using these items. You can use these items as well, especially at the beginning when you want to go to the wasteland quite soon. Without them, in the wasteland, you die. Okay? The second item are gun parts. Of course, they are used to craft the random guns, but if you don't tend to use one of the gun, especially at the beginning of the game, because you can't do much unless you have 4 items. And for example, I don't use shotguns, so I can scrap them and I can get 225 of iron. At the beginning of the game, when you find one of those gun parts, that's quite a lot of iron. And some of those gun parts you will not be using ever. I mean, the guns, obviously, it's a perfect way to get some dukes, because at some point you craft the high level of guns from those gun parts, so it's worth to collect them. But the pistols, if you don't use pistols and you have like 5 receivers somewhere around, or so 5 pistol parts, and you are not planning to use them, and you need the iron, there you go, you have it, you just have to scrap it. It's worth to keep that in mind, that there is a possibility to get this iron quickly. Another one, obviously, to scrap the books, as I mentioned, are the schematics you can scrap for skill nodes, and the books you can scrap for skill nodes. They give 3 each. So if you will be looking for those items because you want to unlock another class, this is the way to do it. Find schematic, find books. Either read them and learn the skill, either like me, I don't tend to learn the skills unless I really need them at this very moment. So farming for beginners, or whatever it's called, the 3 books, or reloading weekly. If I don't need them at this very moment, if I don't need to build the farm at this very moment, I usually scrap those books. I keep some of them in some stash somewhere, just in case I will need them, but if I find multiple copies, because you will start to find the multiple copies, there's much less schematics and books in Darkness Falls than in the vanilla. So you will start to find the multiple copies of the same books, and some of those books, obviously they are not used, but a lot of people, they are reading every single skill and they are loading those skills even though they don't need it. Like sledgehammer, you never use the sledgehammer, you read the schematic for the sledgehammer. It's better off sometimes to scrap those schematics and don't learn the skill, but work towards another class. This is my tactic, this is purely my opinion, but this is the way to get them. And the last item, it's the same like vanilla, but I thought I would just put it in one place, so in case someone will be looking for it. When you scrap the military items, you get the military fiber. Straightforward. This tip can save your life. As you see, day 82 for me is a horde night. So today at 10 PM we start the horde. Fine. But if I push some time to, let's say, 5:35, I can still ride motorcycle, I can use any item. However, when we pass 6 PM, when we pass 6 PM, the motorcycle doesn't work. And this is the information you get. None of the motors will work. Generator, of course, it will work. It's just fine. But no car, no mini bike, you get the same thing. The only vehicle that works is a bicycle. So you can still use the bicycle, you have to have it, you have to keep that in mind, that you need the bicycle when you are looting during the horde night. Because when you find yourself, when you lose track of time, and when you find yourself even like 10 after 6 or something, somewhere in the wilderness with the motorcycle full of gaps, and you will need to get to the horde base, and that's like 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers away, you might have really hard time doing this, and you will need to leave the motorcycle, you need to go there, and so on. Yeah, you see it. This is the new functionality of the game. I decided to highlight it because it really can save your life. One of the late game items is a multitool. Multitool is the awesome replacement for the nail gun. It's very efficient and very quick in crafting and in upgrading the blocks. So you want it. You actually need it if you want to have the laser stuff. So you need this item. When we look at the laser multitool, you need a laser workbench to craft the laser multitool, and you need the multitool as well. When we go to the workbench, we need a workbench and we need the multitool. So from this, the logical thing is that we need the workbench somehow to get the workbench somehow and to get the multitool. There are two ways to get the multitool. So the first way is to farm the bird supplies chests. The level 5 have a possibility to give you the multitool in the bird supplies. So this is why it's worth to do the quests, because when you reach the level 5 you can get this material. The bird supplies level 5 are OP, by the way. At some point in your game you will obviously progress with the story, so I don't want to spoil too much, but the second way to get the multitool is to search those desks. Those desks have a chance to have the multitool as well, so you can get it from them. It's not often, but it happens. This tip is a bit funny. So, as you know, you can have the animals, you can have a farm, you can have the various animals, but out of all the animals, the male wolf is the only animal I found that you can actually hire, which means that he will be following you. This functionality is a bit buggy, as I noticed the guard and stay and wander around. It doesn't really work when you hire him. We kind of hire him when you take him with you. He will be following you, and he will be triggering the turrets and all this kind of thing. So the functionality is a bit buggy, but for all the lonely people like me who play this game alone, this is actually a great addition because you can have a dog. The last two tips are not for playing a game. There are options you can use, and they are sometimes hard to find. I found them on some forums, and I decided to just show it so it will be easier to reach those two options. First option is to check the heat of the map. As you know, the heat is the functionality of the game. When you reach the certain level, it will spawn some zombies or it will spawn the screamers, and the various items are pulling up the heat of the area. Okay, we can actually check this. First of all, you have to turn on the debug mode. I just had it on. You have to turn on the debug mode, so press F1 and type DM. When you open the debug mode, we can close this, and when you press F8, it will first show you the FPS, the current FPS of the game. When you press the F8 again, it will show you the heat chunk. The heat chunk is we are in some area, and when we start to move around, it will change at some point. We just go to the different area, so you see it changed to 9 events from 4. But heat chunk is the calculation of the heat of the area we are in. Percent is when it reaches the 100%, when you pass the 100%, because by doing something we are pulling up this percentage, and when you pass the 100%, it will spawn some zombie. It will spawn either a screamer, either a horde, doesn't matter. And the events are the things which are pulling up the heat. So for example, I have a gun right now and I shoot it once, it shows that it was an event on this heat chunk, and it pull up the percentage. So it adds an additional event and it pull up the percentage. This is the fast way if you, for example, want to test the screamers, or you want to do something and you want to test if this heat it will be working or not, or how much of the heat or how much accuracy you do. This is the way to check this. Quite easy way to check this. The second tip is when you try to make the random generated map. When you do the random generated map in Darkness Falls, obviously to progress with the story, you have to have few of the building, few of the POIs. So there is a way to check this. The first, press F1 and type debug mode. So we turn on debug mode. And after, when you press escape, you can go to open POI teleporter. Don't do it, don't teleport anywhere, but when you open the POI teleporter, you can type DF. Make sure you have the items like I have in here. So military bunker, research lab, the quest prefab, and settlement trader is convenient as well, of course. But those are the items you want to have on a map. If you don't see any of those when you type DF, it's better to create a new map because you won't have the POIs. So when you create a new map, it's worth to go there, turn on the debug mode, and just check if those POIs are over there. Of course, you can teleport to them using this, because when you use the debug mode, you can do whatever you want. But so you can teleport to them if you have hard time finding them and you want to cheat a little bit. And I've done it a few times. We all cheat at least a few times in every game if we can. But yeah, this is the way to check this. So that's it. I'm out. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.